Hey guys, welcome to the TELEFUNKEN Elektroakustik Factory and Soundstage located in South Windsor, Connecticut. We're here on the East Coast of the United States. This is where we make the microphones, this is where we design them, and this is where our soundstage and studio is. We're going to give you a tour today, show you all the wonderful stuff that we do here, so follow me.
Check it out.
My name is Tom. I'm the production manager here at TELEFUNKEN, and we are standing currently in the production floor. Behind me you will see a couple of different areas which are divided up by product line. So the first area here is where all of the Diamond Series microphones get built, which are our flagship mics, the C12, U47 and 251. And down from there is where we build our small diaphragm and Alchemy microphones, such as the 260 M60 and all the TF series microphones. Towards the end over there is where all of our dynamic production takes place, which is all of our handheld M80, M81, M82 mics. So we first started by recreating the switch in the 251, and then from there we started making more and more parts and realized we can do this whole microphone, at which point we completely reverse engineered everything and recreated the 251 in its entirety. So over here within Diamond Production, we currently have our next batch of U47s being burned in right now. So this is the point at which the microphone and power supply have completed production, and we burn them in as a unit for typically about 48 hours before we then do our final assembly, bring it over for final frequency testing, and then final listening testing in the studio prior to it getting packaged and then sent out the building. Behind here you can see some of the sub-assemblies that we have that go into these microphones. So for example, here we have our tube socket sub-assembly, and then here we have our upper top plate sub-assembly. So these things get individually made, and then they all come together as one unit to make the process a little bit smoother and more efficient. As you can see here in my hand, this is an example of the switch housing that we recreated that's exactly like the original one was made. And if you look under here, you can see as the switch goes back and forth, it makes contact with those different contacts in there, which then basically just reroutes voltages through these leads and ultimately to the capsule, which changes the polarization of it. And this is kind of similar depending again on what kind of mic you have. This operation might happen on the power supply instead of on the mic itself. So this is an example of a power supply panel that has the switches on the front, which then just does the same thing internally in the power supply before it goes to the microphone.
Hey there, I'm James. I'm a tech and part of the marketing team here. And one of my main responsibilities as a tech here is to build, design, and repair power supplies. All of our Diamond Series microphones and most of the Alchemy Series microphones need external power supplies because they have vacuum tubes in them. Our M60 and our TF11 are transistor-based condenser microphones, so they don't need power supplies. You can just plug those into a mixing console, turn on phantom power, and they'll work. But with all of our microphones that have vacuum tubes, they have specific power requirements that a mixing console cannot provide. Just checking on the meter here. Generally aim for 120 volts for the B+. Tubes don't really need a very high plate voltage because tubes in microphones are not really amplifying that much. They're almost more converting impedance from the very high impedance capsule to a lower impedance transformer. But you'll see much higher voltages in guitar amps and stuff like that, where the tubes are driven a lot harder.
Hi, my name is Kyle KELSON. I'm the Dynamic Production Manager here at TELEFUNKEN. I oversee a team of people who are in charge of producing M80 handheld, shorties, and wireless variants, as well as M81s, M82s, and DIs. Today in Dynamics, Elliot is putting XLRs on 80 and 81 shorties, and Jack is putting XLRs on our custom shop assemblies.
Hi, my name is Kelvin, and I'm the small diaphragm tech here at TELEFUNKEN. So if you look over here, we've got gut shots of the two small diaphragm mics. We've got the ELA M 260, which is a tube microphone, and we've got the M60 FET, which is obviously a FET microphone. So they share a similar size and a similar body tube, but internally they're a little bit different. The ELA M 260 uses a 5840 tube internally, and then the M60 FET uses a J-FET. So sonically, there's a couple differences. Because of the tube, you're going to get kind of your standard tube sounds. You're going to get a little bit more warmth, a little bit slower of a transient response. Definitely more suited for like a studio environment just because they're a little bit more fragile, and they also require their own separate power supply. The M60 just runs on phantom just like a standard condenser mic, and so it makes it a little bit more rugged. You can use it in the studio or in live applications. In this section here is where we do specific component testing, where we test for tolerances and noise floor. So in the first section over here, you'll see where we do our tube burn-in and tube listening. Next to that, we have our little anechoic chamber, where we can do a full frequency sweep of capsules or completed microphones. To the right of that, you'll see we have our little APX system, and on this box we can do things like noise testing, check for level, noise floor with distortion. So down there we have our M60s, and those are burning in overnight just to make sure that they stabilize for noise floor and gain. And basically the same thing for the tubes themselves. So we burn them in sometimes for a day, sometimes for a couple days, just to stabilize them.
Hey, I'm Jake. I'm an Alchemy tech here at TELEFUNKEN, and I'm going to talk to you today about the Alchemy series of microphones we sell. The Alchemy series was created to create a more affordable line that is reminiscent of our Diamond series mics. The two that draw most from it are TF47 and our TF51. The 47 is intended to draw inspiration from the U47 and the M49, where the TF51 is drawing its inspiration from the 251 that we sell in the Diamond series. Along with those are the Copperhead 29 and 39. Those are unique sounding microphones that were designed bottom up here in TELEFUNKEN. And then we have the new TF11. This is the newest mic in our Alchemy series and the most affordable one yet. It is different from the other mics in that it uses a FET to power it rather than a tube.
So we're now currently in the capsule production room, and this room is specifically for the sole purpose of manufacturing our CK12 capsules, which is one of the things we really pride ourselves on. Behind me is Eric, who is currently assembling the capsules. He's measuring halves and matching them appropriately so that it can be a perfectly matched capsule front to back, because the CK12 is a dual diaphragm, dual-sided capsule, which allows you to have not only the cardioid polar pattern, but also figure 8 and omni. So matching the capsules is very important for the overall wellness of the capsule.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan, and we're now in the R&D lab. In this room, we do everything from new product development, technical part drawings and 3D CAD modeling, production support, and build all the test procedures and equipment for the production space. Around the room you'll see 2 SolidWorks stations, an Audio Precision test area, a listening area, and 2 tech benches for troubleshooting and prototype building. So we're going to start by showing you some of the test procedures and circuit design that we do in this room.
Hi, I'm Bill, and I'm the Senior Design Engineer here at TELEFUNKEN. And today we're going to talk about microphone design and how that happens. And what are the steps involved? One of the first things we'll do is think of the type of microphone that we want to design, and then once that's conceptualized, we'll immediately work into developing a circuit. And then pretty quickly, I'll work into drawing it up in SPICE. Once we start with SPICE, it allows us to see what the circuit reaction is going to be to various situations. It allows us to fine-tune the circuit and get to a point where we can build a prototype that'll work right out of the box. And so the next step will be, how do we test it? And one of the things that we use here, a very important tool for us, is the audio precision test sets. We have many of them here. And basically it's an interface to the computer, much like what you use when you use Pro Tools or other DAW software. But this is specifically designed for audio testing. So it allows us to test various products and see distortion, frequency response, all kinds of things that we can't necessarily hear, but allows us to see it. Today I'm testing an active direct box, and that's plugged in, and here you can see I'm going to run a frequency response of it. And this is 10 Hertz to 40,000 Hertz, and you can see how flat that box is.
My name is Ryan Rowe. I am the audio engineer here at TELEFUNKEN, and I am in charge of testing every microphone before it goes out the door, as well as being in charge of this room and all the recordings that we do here at TELEFUNKEN. Testing microphones, so unbox them, I open them up, set everything up, turn it on, let it warm up for 3 to 5 minutes depending on the microphone. If it's a higher end or a diamond microphone, I'll let them warm up for 5 to 10 minutes. Then I give them a voice test on all of the polar patterns. After the voice test, I take them and I stick them in the quiet box and I shut the latches, and then so I can get the gain of the microphone up as high as I can to hear any of the self noise that could be a problem. I do like a phase pop with the snare drum here. Hit it once and it tells us whether the mic is in or out of the correct polarity.
All right, so now that we are in trade show season, but we can't come visit you guys at the trade show due to COVID, we've actually spent some time producing what would be called a virtual soundstage. This is a space that you can visit on our website where you can go around and listen to all of our microphones in use across multiple sources. For example, you can listen to about 8 or 9 different vocalists singing through all of our different microphones. So if you wanted to hear a jazz vocalist through all the large diaphragm mics, or a rock guitarist through our dynamic microphones, or maybe a bass player through our DIs, we encourage you to visit the virtual soundstage that is on our website. All right, so what are we doing here on the soundstage exactly? We've actually been filming for the past 4 or 5 years live performances that we bill and market as Live from the Lab. Now, if you go to livefromthelab.net, or if you look up Live from the Lab on YouTube, you will see several years worth of performances that have happened in this space. We are recording bands, we are filming them, and we are putting the multi-track files up for download on our website and through YouTube. So these are excellent places for you to test your mixing skills, as well as excellent ways to listen closely to isolated signal sources. You can go to livefromthelab.net or Live from the Lab on YouTube to watch those videos. And here's a couple examples. Check them out right now.
Cigarettes